7-foot-high center field fence to bring back what would have been sure home runs by Mickey Tettleton and Reggie Jackson. Somebody here said they're going to have to invent a new statistical category for Kirby in addition to stolen bases, stolen home runs. He was well on his way to 162 of them after the first 2 games of the year. There's the knuckleballer, Joe Niekro, winner of 216 games over 21 seasons with the Cubs, the Tigers, the Braves, the Astros, and the Yankees. He's the first knuckleball specialist ever to pitch for the Twins. Niekro's record not all that impressive this year, 3-4 so far, but a very respectable earned run average of 3.55, and he really has pitched pretty well. 8 starts, 1 complete game. In 50 2/3 innings, has given up only 40 hits. 4 of those have been home runs. He has walked 19 and struck out 30. The Royals tonight with a record of 30-24. They're a game ahead of the Twins in the West, 2.5 over the Oakland A's. Royals working on a 3-5 road trip so far. Willie Wilson set to try his luck against the knuckleball of Joe Niekro. And here with the play-by-play, Denny Matthews.
All right, Denny, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Willie Wilson had 2 hits last night. Willie's average at .290. 56 hits, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. Willie on a 4-game hitting string, 8 hits in his last 20 at-bats. You mentioned the 2 gold gloves behind Joe Niekro, but I was just going to say, the fellow that needs not a gold glove, but the biggest glove in town is the catcher. And he didn't have a prayer. I mean, now we talked about the, watch this. Now you see it. Oop. Not where you think it is. Boom, right off the, oh my, that hit him on the, oh geez. And the pitch is outside. We talked about the Royals running on, not Niekro, but on the catcher, Tim Laudner.
Tim Laudner, by the way, has a knuckleball glove, but he's left it at home in his garage in Orlando, Florida, and couldn't get it in time today.
Well, more than that, you need, I guess you could call it a knuckleball mentality, and certainly some experience in handling that pitch, because it is unlike anything he has ever seen.
Well, their bullpen coach rounded one up for him. Rich Delmese got him that glove there, which is a little looser and a little bigger than the normal catcher's mitt.
And as for the experience, it all begins right now. 1-2 to Willie Wilson. Chopped right at the first baseman Larkin. 1 away. So Willie gone, 3 unassisted. A beautiful day in the Twin Cities. 82 degrees outdoors. It's right around 72 inside the Metrodome. There's Kevin Seitzer, who made the final out last night. He doubled in the first inning. Kevin went 1 out of 5. He has now hit safely in 12 of 14 games. And he's having a 278 road trip. One ball, no strikes.
Kevin wants to watch that knuckleball work as long as he possibly can. He can't get any deeper in the batter's box. It's going to be in Laudner's lap.
Tim sets the target, and this knuckleball is low and outside. When you look at Joe Niekro, you are looking at a first in Minnesota Twins history. The Twins came here in 1961. They have never, up until tonight, had a pure knuckleball pitcher. This is a first. Strike called. In the 70s, there was a pitcher by the name of Dave Goltz, who had a few good years. Goltz threw a knuckle curve, but that's not even close to a pure knuckleball. But that's the closest the Twins have ever been up until tonight. Kevin tried to take that knuckler into right field, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And speaking of the 70s, the last time that Joe Niekro won a game from the Royals was on April the 26th, 1971. That was in the old ballpark in Kansas City. And the losing pitcher that night was Jim Rooker. Now that's how long it's been since this fellow's beaten the Royals.
The city of Minneapolis, Denny, has seen a good knuckleballer before. Hall of Fame knuckleballer Hoyt Wilhelm, on his way to the New York Giants, pitched for the old Minneapolis Millers back here in the early 50s.
They may have seen the best knuckleball. Yeah. 2-2 to Kevin Seitzer. Didn't but missed by much. Three-two pitch. Swatted foul. So Niekro and Seitzer can go no further. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Larry McCoy, the plate umpire. By the way, we're working with just 3 umpires. Don Dinkinger, who is to have worked first base tonight, is ill. So Al Clark's at first. And Dale Scott, who took a rather nasty blow last night, is at third. Another foul ball out of play. Yep, show up for the game, and all of a sudden you got a souvenir, huh? Not a bad deal at all. Three and 2 on Seitzer. Danny Tartabull waits on deck. Ball 4. And now we'll see about the running game. Seitzer worked hard for that base on balls. Here comes Tartabull. Danny hitting 3 1/4. 8 homers, 26 RBIs. 1 out of 4 last night, a 3rd inning single. So he has hit safely in 7 of the 8 games on this trip. And overall, he's hit safely in 21 of 24. As most knuckleball pitchers have to have, Joe Niekro has a pretty decent move to first. Not quite as good as brother Phil, but not bad. You have to be careful. Tartabull took a strike, but you could see the ball popping out of the glove of Tim Laudner, so had Seitzer been running, he would have been at second base easily. Niekro started against the Royals as a member of the Yankees in Kansas City on April the 12th, and the Royals beat him 8-2. Count even, 1 ball, 1 strike. Niekro 3 and 4 a year ago at this time. Joe was 6 and 3. Two balls and a strike. He last pitched last Thursday night and lost to the Brewers in Milwaukee 9-3. Traded for catcher Mark Salas. Two and 1. Let's keep an eye on Seitzer now. Not going. Base hit center field. Boy, Niekro threw out his meat hand, and he's fortunate that he did not make contact. Tartabull scalds one up the middle, and up comes Thad Bosley. Thad Bosley hitting .303. Nothing for 4 with the run scored last night. Two on, 1 out. Bosley wants to know if Seitzer and Tartabull will run. There is that possibility. Now they will. The ball got away from the catcher, Tim Laudner. It'll probably be a pass ball. Well, that young man's going to have his hands full all night, Denny. Or at least as long as Niekro's around.
Watch how much mitt movement he's got. He's moving that mitt a great deal, and you really got to receive it very softly and not be stabbing at the pitches. It's going to take him a while to get used to it.
So a pass ball charged to Laudner. Runners second and third, infield back. 1-1 to Bosley. Pulled hard but foul up the right field line, and a good stab by that young man. Well done, says Steve Farr. Now the advantage to Niekro. The count is a ball and 2 strikes.
Looks like George Brett is part of the bullpen patrol tonight, watching the game down in the Royals bullpen. Continuing to rehabilitate his knee with trainers Mickey Cobb and Paul McGannon.
Laudner having to move quickly to snare that knuckleball, which broke down and in.
Here's George. He's going to get his sore knee tested on the Cybex machine Thursday, and if it's 85 or 90% as strong as it used to be, then he'll go to work.
Bullpen duty. Bullpen duty. It's kind of like KP.
Yeah.
One of your chores when you have bullpen duty is to hold the glove, the big glove. Did you see the glove in his hand? And it's one of the things you have to do when you have bullpen duty. You also have to guard the pitchers or the catcher when someone is warming up. A thankless task. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 on, 1 out. No score, just underway. Soft knuckleball. That ground ball will score a run. Seitzer crosses the plate. Lombardozzi to Larkin takes care of Bosley, who gets his 10th RBI. And on the play, Tartabull to third. So the Royals break on top, 1-0.
And the pass ball by Laudner ends up costing the Twins a run already.
Here's Frank White. Frank, 227. 5 homers, 29 RBIs. No balls and a strike on Frank. Frank with a 5-game hitting string. Pressure on Laudner. A pass ball here means a run. But Frank down in the count 0-2.
This is just an adventure for poor Tim Laudner. He's just hopping around back there. You can see a little smile on the face of the 42-year-old Niekro. He's seen so much of this in his career, and he hates to break in a new receiver.
Niekro just got here this afternoon. And Laudner dropping the ball. Now we'll have to find the angle and throw to first, which he does. And Laudner says, oh, man, am I glad that's The Royals get 1 run on 1 hit. A walk, the pass ball, the big item. And Laudner back to the pitch for repairs. And after half an inning, Royals 1. Twins coming up. Come up and be confronted by this defensive alignment. Jackson, Wilson, and Tartabull. Seitzer and Salazar, White and Balboni. Jackson and Quirk. And Danny Jackson making start number 13. He is looking for his first victory since May the 26th. His last 2 starts have produced 1 loss and 1 no decision. I mentioned before the game started, his career record against Minnesota is 3-6. His lifetime record here in the Metrodome is 2-3, and you say, boy, he has struggled here. But do you know what his ERA is? In 5 games here, 1.6. 1.6, and he's 2-3. So he has pitched excellent ball against the Twins here, but is 1 game under 500 for it. Al Newman leads off. Al was 0 for 3 last night. Two balls, no strikes. Through the middle, a hit. Newman singles to center.
Well, Danny Jackson had so much trouble in Seattle tonight getting that sharp breaking slider of his over the plate, so he starts Newman off with 3 straight fastballs, misses on the first 2, and then grooves one for a base hit.
Newman taking advantage of the count. And now it's Dan Gladden who came to the Twins from the Giants. A .264 hitter with 2 homers and 17 RBIs. There's a slider and missed. 1 ball, no strikes. Gladden has good speed.
That's something the Twins haven't had in years. In fact, maybe never, Denny, and that's real speed at the top of their batting order. The first 3 hitters in this lineup can all run. I mean, really run.
Newman has 5 stolen bases, but he's been caught 5 times, so he is obviously not yet a good base stealer. But as you say, good speed. That will slice foul into the corner of the Metrodome, and it's a ball and a strike on Dan Gladden.
Newman came up through the Montreal Expos farm system. They signed him out of San Diego State. In his first year of pro ball at Memphis, he broke Tim Raines' stolen base record there with 63 swipes.
So he's still learning. He has a pretty good lead. Got the breaking ball in there, took a little off, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Normally Jackson throws that breaking ball hard. I mean hard. But that was a soft one. And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. A little blooper to Balboni. One man is out, and up comes Kirby Puckett. Kirby hit a home run in the 6th inning last night to tie the game. He now has 11 home runs, 39 RBIs, 71 hits, a .316 batting average. His 6th inning homer, his only hit, he went 1 out of 4. Royals on top, 1-0. We're in the bottom of the 1st. Tried to take that breaking ball to the opposite field and whacked it foul. Strike 1 on Puckett. Kirby hit .328 last year with 31 home runs and 96 RBIs. 5'8", 205 from Chicago. Royals will go for 2. But Newman goes barreling into second base, and Salazar makes a good decision in not throwing. Puckett runs so well, and it really wasn't a double play ball, and it left the bat of Kirby Puckett.
Good baseball here on the part of Al Newman. He went into second base hard. Watch this slide. He's going to make sure that if Angel gets a throwaway, it's not going to be a good one.
So they get the force at second. The batter, Gary Gaetti. .264 with 13 homers, 36 RBIs. One ball, no strikes on Gaetti. 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored last night. Tomorrow night, Charlie Lebrand against Bert Blyleven. The Royals and the Twins wrap up this series. We'll televise once again. A ball and a strike on Gaetti. Friday night, the Royals begin a 3-game series against California. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Angels, and then the A's on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. Two and one to Gary. Jackson's last start was a 7-2 loss in Seattle on the 5th. 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs. Gave up 3 runs in the second inning. Just missed with the breaking ball, didn't miss by much. 3 and 1. Danny surrendered 2 runs in the 4th inning in Seattle and then left the game trailing 5-1. But his record notwithstanding, he's always pitched well here. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Gaetti. And that means Puckett at first will go, and Balboni will now move behind him. Three and two, 2 out. Boy, nobody knew what he called.
Larry McCoy, the home plate umpire, good old Arkansas boy that he is, just kind of grunted as that pitch came across home plate. Jamie Quirk turned around. So did the hitter, Gaetti. Said, both of them together said, what was that?
It's ball 4, but you might as well let somebody know. Now the Twins have runners at first and second for Gene Larkin. Larkin tripled into the right field corner last night, driving in 3 runs, and that was the big blow of the contest. Larkin, a good-looking young hitter. 16 hits, a home run, 8 RBIs. Switch hitting first baseman. And Jackson behind in the count 2-0, and he'll have to be careful with this pitch. Jackson facing a man who hit .321 at Orlando last year with 104 RBIs. He laid off the slider, which found the inside corner.
And Larkin came up against Quisenberry with the bases loaded last night. He'd never seen him before. He went to Roy Smalley and asked him what to expect. Smalley said, just wait till he gives you a pitch up in the strike zone. They didn't have to wait long. He said the very first pitch came in up, and he hit it into the right field corner for a 3-run triple.
Jackson works him low and outside, and now 3 and 1. So Danny's worked behind the last 2 hitters. He ended up walking Gaetti. And now he's going to have to make a couple of pretty good pitches to Gene Larkin. He did. That's half of it. Once again, 3 and 2, 2 out. With 2 on, 1-0 Royals in the first. Missed with a slider. So they're loaded for Brunansky. I'll bet you Danny Jackson, if he had his druthers, despite the base hit last night, would have preferred working on Larkin rather than this guy. This guy's a veteran. .280 with 13 home runs, 34 RBIs. He would have liked to have gotten Gene Larkin, but didn't. One ball, no strikes. Gary Blaylock is going to go out. Jackson has only given up 5 home runs, but the danger here, it's such a little ballpark, and the balls are carrying so very well this year. We all know that by now, that you're just afraid that Danny Jackson might groove one. And to give you an idea of the Metrodome, we'll take you on a little tour as Gary Blaylock, Quirk, and Jackson talk it over. 343 to left down the line, 408 dead center. And then as you pan around toward the right field corner, it's only 327 down the right field line. So better for the left-handed batters, but you have the high wall in right. They just can't afford to make a mistake, and Bernansky has more than enough power. Slap foul, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, what do you think Gary Blaylock said to Danny Jackson?
He may have said,
go get him.
Let's stick with that fastball until you get ahead in the count, and then use the slider as your strikeout pitch.
Yeah, go get him. Quit fussing, just rear back and rip strikes over. Upstairs, 2-1. Easier said than done when your stuff jumps all over the place, as Jackson's does. Kirby Puckett at third. And Gaetti at second and Larkin at first. A single and 2 walks. That should end the inning. Salazar to Balboni, and the Twins leave a trio. 1 hit, no runs, 3 left, and after 1 inning, Royals 1, Minnesota nothing. Telecast authorized under rights granted by the Royals solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Royals and WDAF-TV is prohibited. Royals 1, Minnesota nothing. Joe Niekro back to work, and it'll be Balboni, Bo Jackson, and Salazar. Steve 1 for 3 last night, a single. One ball, no strikes. Steve has hit in 5 straight games, his longest hitting string of the season. 7 hits in his last 22 at-bats. Knuckleball on the inside edge, and it's 1-1. Joe and brother Phil became baseball's all-time winningest brother combination when Phil beat the Tigers in Cleveland a week ago yesterday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Their win total is now 531. They went past the Perry boys, Jim and Gaylord. Barely got a piece of it. Steve Balboni still alive. Nobody on, nobody out. The shift is on for Balboni with second baseman Lombardozzi over on the third base side. And there's the opposite field single by Balboni. Hit number 2 off Niekro. Good piece of hitting by Steve. That will bring up Bo Jackson. Bo 254 with 11 homers, 32 RBIs. One ball, no strikes on Jackson. Bo leads the team with 11 homers and 32 runs batted in. He's 4 for 20 on this trip. Knuckleball in there. Denny, just to clarify one thing on Joe Niekro. I mentioned his last win over the Royals in April of 1971. That was his last victory over the Royals in Kansas City. He has never won in the new ballpark. I don't know that I made that clear or not. One ball, 2 strikes on Bo Jackson. Bo had a single in 3 at-bats last night. And down he goes as Niekro gets his second strikeout. Knuckleball breaking down and away from Jackson. Here is Salazar hitting .246, 2 homers, 16 batted in. Drove in the Royals' first run last night. Single into center field. He was 1 out of 4. Salazar has hit in 6 of 8 on the trip. Knuckleball had good movement. Salazar fouled it off. Now they had a good one in Chicago today, Denny. Cubs edged the Mets 6-5. Johnson, Tuffle, Mookie Wilson homered for the Mets. Tuffle, a former Twin. Dunston and Durham for the Cubs. Knowles the winner, Myers the loser. Lee Smith save number 15. It's the only final at the moment. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Salazar. Knuckleball grounded out to Lombardozzi. 1 at second, 2 at first. No runs. 1 hit. The leadoff single by Balboni. To the bottom of the second we go. Royals 1, Minnesota nothing. There's Tom Kelly, Minnesota's young manager. He's doing a good job with the Twins. And when the Twins went shopping for a manager at the end of last year, Kelly's name was in the hopper as one of the candidates, and he was very strongly supported, Denny, by all his players, and I think almost to a man they were very pleased when Tom was officially named as their head man.
He is now the youngest manager in the major leagues at the age of 36.
He'll be watching the lower third of his batting order here in the second inning. That means Lombardozzi, Laudner, and Davidson. Lombardozzi, 256, 41 hits, 3 of them home runs. Fouled into the crowd. Here's a switch. She catches it and hands it to her boyfriend. He bailed out. Seitzer on a short hop. Tim Laudner, the batter, hitting .159. Tim with 4 homers and 14 RBIs. Sal Butera did the catching last night. Laudner swings over the top of a slider. Denny, an interesting note on Tom Kelly. He is the 5th person to serve as a player, a coach, and a manager for the Minnesota Twins. Can you think of some of the others? 0-2 now on Tim Laudner. The 5th person to serve as a player, a coach, and a manager.
John Gorel, did he?
John Gorel is one.
Jim Lemon? No?
No. One also served as Minnesota broadcaster. Laudner strikes out, does not know the ball has escaped Quirk, and too late now. So Laudner strikes out, and had he realized instantly that Quirk had let the ball escape, might have made first base. But it was 3 or 4 seconds before he realized the ball had eluded Jamie Quirk. And Laudner, thinking about that half swing, just about now breaks away from the batter's box and is an easy out. So Jackson has his first strikeout. Mark Davidson up there. Davidson 288, a home run, 5 RBIs.
How about Sam Mealy?
No.
Player, coach, manager, and in one case, broadcaster.
Correct. Clue? Two balls, no strikes. The one who broadcast, last name started with the letter Q.
Frank Quillisi.
Mm-hmm. One of the other two is in uniform tonight. 2-1 now on Mark Davidson. Wearing the powder blue.
Billy Gardner play here?
Mm-hmm. And the other one is Billy Martin. 2-1 pitch. Crowded him, 3-1. Royals lead 1-0. Scored their run in the top half of the first.
You got to check into that. See how long Billy actually played with the Twins. That's interesting.
3-1 pitch. Ball 4. Danny Jackson has walked 3. Couple of other scores. Toronto leading the Yankees 2-0 after 3 innings. Barfield hit his 15th home run. Ron Guidry pitching for New York against Cerruti. Baltimore 1, Boston 0. Third inning in Baltimore. Ripken a home run. Detroit 1, Milwaukee 0 after 3 in Detroit. Cardinals trail the Phils 1-0 after 4 in Philadelphia. Glenn Wilson a home run. Cox against Ruffin. Runner goes. The pitch is low. The throw not in time. Davidson has his 6th stolen base. He's only been caught once. And Denny, you touched on the Minnesota Twins, more of a running team, and here you have the number 9 man who drew the base on balls suddenly at second base with the tying run.
So Tom Kelly trying to force the action here in answer to that question about Billy Gardner. He played half a season here in 1961, but he was the starting second baseman in the first game the Minnesota Twins ever played.
Tying run at second. 2 balls, no strikes on Al Newman. Newman singled in the first inning. That's Minnesota's only hit. But they have had 4 base runners. They left the bases loaded in the first. Tom Brunanski grounded out to Salazar. And it's 3-0. Giants lead the Reds 4-1. They played 3 innings in Cincinnati. The Reds will have to come from behind again. Back-to-back walks. So Jackson appeared to be on his way to an easy inning. But the number 9 hitter walked, stole second, and now Newman has walked. 4 walks in an inning and 2/3. And here's Dan Gladden, who fouled out to Balboni. Jackson made a great pitch to Gladden. He worked a slider right in on his knuckles. One ball, no strikes. Here comes Gary Blaylock. He senses that Jackson is really fighting himself. Gary knows the personalities of all the pitchers so well, and Jackson really does a pretty good job, Denny, of keeping his emotions within, but he can't fool the old coach.
Bullpen is quiet.
Boys are just hanging around, checking out the action. 1 ball, no strikes on Dan Gladden. Way upstairs. He's basically in the same situation that he found himself in the first. With 1 on and 2 out, he walked Gaetti and Larkin back-to-back, but then got Bernansky on the ground ball. With 2 out, nobody on, walks to Davidson and Newman. And a ground ball to Steitzer. And Jackson escapes again despite walking 4 in 2 innings and surrendering a single. The Twins have stranded 5, and after 2, 1-0 Royals. Two innings in the book. Royals lead 1-0. They scored in the first inning. Bosley got Kevin Seitzer home. It'll be Quirk, Wilson, and Seitzer coming up. Third inning. Here's Denny Treese.
Thank you, Denny. Jimmy Quirk stands in, hitting .245. Elsewhere, the first place Toronto Blue Jays leading the Yankees again 2-0 after 3 innings. Jesse Barfield has hit his 15th home run for the Blue Jays. Cal Ripken also hit his 15th for Baltimore tonight. Orioles over Boston in the third now, 1-0. Detroit leads Milwaukee 1-0 through 3. Jack Morris against Teddy Higuera there. Quirk goes for a knuckler and just barely hits it off the handle of the bat. 3 other games late getting started out west. Cleveland at California, Chicago at Oakland, and Texas at Seattle. Jimmy Quirk with that wide spread out stance. Inside 1-1. Cut on and missed. A ball and 2 strikes. Joe Niekro won 10 games as a rookie with the Cubs back in 1967. He was a 2-time 20-game winner for the Astros in 79 and 80. Here comes the 1-2 to Quirk. Threw that one a little harder and missed 2-2. If you're just joining us, Royals on top 1-0. Danny Jackson has stranded 5 Twins through the first 2 innings. Quirk goes down swinging. It's the 3rd strikeout for Joe Niekro, 1 in each inning so far.
Denny, watch how Niekro comes set after he delivers the pitch. He looks almost exactly like his brother Phil at that particular point in his delivery. Really, there are some similarities prior to that, but really on his follow-through, he really looks like Phil.
Working now to Willie Wilson, who bounces one up the middle, and right there, Kirby Puckett. Joe Niekro talking things over with his Gold Glove third baseman Gary Gaetti. And we'll work now to Kevin Seitzer.
He and his brother learned the knuckleball out in the backyard of their home. Their father, who was taught by a very good semi-pro catcher to throw the knuckleball, taught the 2 boys, and they used to have a contest in the backyard to see who could throw the best knuckleball, and they judged that by the fact that the knuckleball wasn't caught. It would hit one or the other in the kneecap or in the arm or the shoulder. That's a good one when you can't catch it, right?
Betcha.
That's how you learn to throw the knuckleball. You bounce it off your brother's coconut.
Kevin Seitzer walked, scored a run after Niekro bounced one off his catcher's mitt. Tim Laudner charged with a pass ball. Thad Bosley then grounded out to get Seitzer home. Laudner still having trouble corralling it.
Has he missed more than he has caught cleanly?
I would say so, yes.
It's about 50-50, I think.
2 balls and a strike here to Kevin Seitzer. That's a strike. Royals as a team now hitting .269. That's a full 20 points higher than at this stage of the season last year. Kevin Seitzer was 1 for 5 last night. Takes the ball. Count full now. Royals trying to get that road record up to 500. They're 14 and 16 so far. They could do it with 2 more wins here before going back home to open up that 6-game series with the Angels and the A's starting Friday night. Dan Quisenberry using George Brett as a shield there.
That's also part of your duty as bullpen duty.
Yep.
Shield the short guys. Throw yourself in front of the ball.
Again, the payoff pitch to Seitzer, fouled back out of play. And always be ready. You never know when it sails over your head if it's going to come back on a return trip. Niekro will try Seitzer one more time with a 3-2 pitch, and this one sprayed foul. Phillies leading the St. Louis Cardinals after 4 innings tonight, 1-0 on a Glenn Wilson home run. Will Clark has homered for the San Francisco Giants. They lead Cincinnati 4-1 after 3. Seitzer hammers one to right field. A 2-out single for Kevin, and the Royals have something going here in the 3rd. Danny Tartabull, who has had some kind of road trip. When the night began, he was hitting .424 on this trip. Over his last 24 games, Danny Tartabull has hit an even .400. He singled his first time up in this one. He was a hard 1 for 4 last night. A couple of well-hit outs. Tartabull now 4th in the American League batting race after a slow start. Off the end of the bat, foul. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Royals Television Network.
Get in the swing of it. Royals baseball. Royals baseball.
Danny Tartabull awaits the 0-1 pitch from Joe Niekro, hurling his first game in a Twins uniform. Twins traded catcher Mark Salas to New York to get him. 1-1 now to Tartabull. Joe grew up with his brother Phil in Lansing, Ohio, where their childhood buddy was none other than John Havlicek. John was a great athlete in every sport he tried. They didn't have some competitive neighborhood games in Lansing, Ohio, with that group.
I wonder if Havlicek ever tried to throw knuckleballs. Probably.
He shot it pretty straight, I know that. There goes Seitzer. Laudner won't even throw. Kevin Seitzer has his 3rd stolen base of the year.
We told you before the game started the Royals were going to run on Niekro. Well, on Laudner. And no throw. That's how much of a problem it is just to corral that pitch.
Good looking up and down slide there by Seitzer, who's in scoring position now for Danny Tartabull. Tartabull already has driven in 26 runs this year, including 8 game winners. He leads the American League in game-winning RBIs. George Bell of Toronto, Kirby Puckett of this Minnesota ball club, and Wade Boggs of the Red Sox all have driven in 7, 1 fewer than Tartabull as game winners. Danny went for the high pitch and didn't get it. So the Royals strand Seitzer at second base. Through 2.5. 1-0, Kansas City. Kirby Puckett now to lead off the Minnesota third against Danny Jackson. Puckett grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. Kirby Puckett went hitless his first 13 times up in his career against Danny Jackson, and then tried to get even all in one night here at the Metrodome last year. Had a single, a double, and a triple against Danny. It's ball one. Puckett credits Billy Gardner with much of his success, as Billy gave him his chance in the major leagues when a lot of other people didn't want to. Now 2-0. Here's Billy, who's really held in great reverence here in Minnesota. Everybody loved him here. That's a strike 2-1. Just how good was Kirby Puckett's 1986 season? Well, he led the Twins in batting at .328, runs, hits, singles, doubles, total bases, slugging percentage, games, at-bats, stolen bases, and hit by pitch.
What else?
No, that's it. Liner past Balboni. It'll go into the right field corner. Extra bases for Kirby. Tardible's throw into the second baseman, Frank White. A leadoff double for Kirby Puckett. You know what Kirby Puckett's career average is against left-handed pitching? .333. That's the best in the major leagues in the past decade.
Well, watch this. This is intelligent hitting. He goes the opposite field with a pitch out away from him, and just scalds it right between Balboni and the bag. And that's why you compile an average like that, Denny. You not only use your God-given ability, but you think your way through your at-bats, and you have an average like that. That's a good hitter right there.
Now Gary Gaetti, a product of Northwest Missouri State in Maryville. Gaetti led the Twins last year in just about everything that Kirby Puckett didn't. In home runs with 34, RBIs 108, game-winning RBIs a dozen, and he also grounded into more double plays than any other Twin, 18 of them. Had a career-high 6 ribbies in one game against the Royals, September 23rd last year. That ball is hit into left field, falling in front of Bo Jackson. He jumps high to grab it, and the Twins now have runners at first and third with nobody out. A double and a single to begin the Minnesota third.
And Gaetti able to turn on a breaking ball, so he got a pitch to pull, and pull it he did, when Puckett got a pitch that had he tried to pull it, quite likely he would have made out.
They put a new rug in the Metrodome this year, but as you could see by that Gaetti base hit, it's still got a lot of bounce to it. It almost jumped over Bo Jackson. Now Gene Larkin, who had the bases-loaded triple last night, the big hit in last night's game. Larkin, the Ivy Leaguer from Columbia University. Fouled out of play. Larkin broke all of Lou Gehrig's records there at Columbia. Some of the players, by the way, receive a gift from Casio, makers of the popular TV 400, a 2-inch color handheld TV with built-in speaker and antenna. Casio, a world leader in consumer electronics. Jackson ready with a one-strike pitch to Larkin inside.
What's the difference this year to last in the bounce on the turf? Last year, Denny, if you held the ball eye high and dropped it, it would bounce back up just about shoulder high. This year, hold the ball eye high and drop it, it will only bounce up to about knee high. It's quite a difference.
It's a better turf. It's also much more attractive. It has brightened the Metrodome considerably. The other one was kind of a, well, the players here used to refer to it as swamp water green.
Ugh. Basic ugh.
Royal infield back. They'll hope for a ball they can turn into a double play here. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Gene Larkin. A strikeout would be lovely. There goes the runner. Bounced behind him. Perfect execution by the Twins. Gaetti took off. Frank White moving towards second base. And Larkin just hit it into the vacated area. There's the twig, Wayne Terwilliger, saying nice job there at first base to Gene Larkin. You saw Frank White trying to get it in reverse gear there, but couldn't get back in time. Game tied now to run apiece. Twins have the go-ahead run 90 feet away at third in the person of Gaetti. Larkin at first. Nobody out for Tom Brunansky. Grounded out his first time up. Twins tried to unload Tom Brunansky in the offseason, offered him to Detroit for Willie Hernandez, to the Mets for Jesse Orozco, but rejected on both counts. High fly ball right field. Danny Tartabull over toward the line in foul territory. Makes the catch. The runner tagging. Tartabull with that strong arm, but not strong enough. Balboni cut it off. Gaetti scores, and the Twins take the lead. Brunansky gets his 35th RBI of the year with a sacrifice fly. Also tagging and moving to second, Gene Larkin.
I really don't understand Tartabull's throw, Denny. There's no chance to get the runner at home. And if you throw to second base and keep Larkin at first base, the double play is still in order. But there goes the throw toward first base.
2-1 Twins now with Lombardozzi batting, grounded out his first time up. Lombardozzi has never had a hit off Danny Jackson. He's 0 for 11 against him in his career. Jackson got that one in on his thumbs, and a soft ground ball to Salazar at shortstop moves the runner over to third. Two out now, and Tim Laudner coming up. Laudner struck out his first time in against Jackson. Popped back our way. Tim Laudner only batting about $1.50, and that may not look like much, but that's quite an improvement. He was only batting .079 when Tom Nieto, the regular catcher, broke his hand, and Laudner was pressed into more frequent service. Laudner was one of 3 catchers used by the Twins extensively last year. The Twins did a lot better when he was behind the plate. 31-26 when Laudner was their starting catcher, and only 40-65 when anybody else caught. And a big cut there, but no contact. It's a ball and 2 strikes. 2 runs on 4 hits for the Twins now. 1 run on 3 hits for the Royals. Neither team has made an error as yet. Twins had a costly pass ball on catcher Tim Laudner that led to an unearned run by the Royals in the first inning. Slider in on it. 2-2. Laudner hit a home run off Danny Jackson here at the Metrodome last year. Fastball again inside. Laudner, as a matter of fact, has hit a home run about once every 27 times up in his career. That is a better ratio than some other very respected catchers like Jody Davis of the Cubs, for instance, who plays in a home run park. Broken bat dribbler to third. Should get him out of it. Seitzer throws across to get Laudner, but the Twins scored twice in the third inning on 3 hits and a sacrifice fly, and they lead now 2-1 after 3. 2-1 Minnesota as we go to the top of the 4th. Among our sponsors tonight, the Allstate Insurance Companies. Leave it to the good hands people to insure your home, your car, your business, or your family. Allstate. Thad Bosley, he drove in a run with a ground out his first time up, leading off the Kansas City 4th. Thad knows he's going to have to continue to swing a hot bat. Another good left-handed hitting DH. having a great year down on the farm. Former Minnesota Twin Jim Eisenreich playing for the Memphis Chicks. 3 more hits, including 2 doubles last night. He's just been too good for that league. I'm Denny Trace. Fred White has joined me. Royals will send up Thad Bosley, Frank White, and Steve Balboni here in the 4th. Joe Niekro gave the Royals 1 hit in each of the first 3 innings. Niekro's 1-1 pitch to Bosley. Lombardozzi, who led All-American League second baseman in fielding percentage last year, throws out Thad. And 1 out. Now Frank White, a strikeout victim, ending the Royals' first. Frank has been productive of late. He's scored a run in each of the last 3 ball games. Driven in 1 in each of his last 2. Off the glove of Laudner, but that's a strike. Royals have announced the signing of 36 players they selected in the June free agent amateur draft. The club selected a franchise record 74 players in that draft, and 36 of them signed also represents a franchise record.
Some interesting signings in there, too.
Billy Gardner's son, 6'6" first baseman Billy Gardner Jr. from Mitchell College in Connecticut will report to Sarasota in the Gulf Coast Rookie League. Royals' 7th selection, Trey Gaines, a 5'10", 175-pound right fielder from Auburn University, former baseball and football teammate of Bo Jackson. He's going to report to Eugene out in the Northwest League.
There's a little story that goes with him. A lot of people, like Bo Jackson, thought Gaines would not play baseball. He's a very fast guy. Bo called him and talked to him, and the Royals did it again. They went sneaking into Auburn and picked off a football player and signed him. I guess this kid has some ability. They're fairly high on him.
I'm sure Bo knows all about recruiting.
Yeah. Story of Billy Gardner. The Royals really becoming a family affair. Juan Benitez and Hal McRae each have sons in the Royals organization. The sign are playing, and now Billy Gardner Jr. joins them.
Won't be the first time he's had a Royal uniform on. He joined the club in spring training. Billy Gardner Jr. came down and worked out a little bit with the club, just played catch with some of the boys and got to know everybody. There's Bo in the dugout with Mickey Cobb, veteran trainer of the Royals.
Laid back now. His recruiting chores are over. The Royals have signed Trey Gaines.
White hits it hard, but right at Gary Gaetti, the Gold Glove third baseman, throws him out.
I think right here would be a good place to brag a little bit on Art Stewart and the Royals scouting department. Once again, they've done a tremendous amount of work. The Trey Gaines pick is one. We'll see how it turns out, but they put some homework into that one, as they did with Bo Jackson. But you look at 74 players selected and 36 signed already, 15 of the top 20. And Art and his staff, again, just another outstanding year.
They don't make many mistakes. Steve Balboni has put together a nice 6-game hitting streak on this road trip. 8 hits in his last 23 tries, including a single to right his first time up tonight against the knuckleballer Niekro.
And guess what they've been doing for the last week besides trying to sign guys? Working on next year's draft. Never stops.
Here's the 1-0 pitch to Balboni, down low. So we talked about how frequently Balboni hits behind on the count. This time he can afford to look for a pitch. 2-0 the count.
Yeah, but the pitch he gets to look for is a knuckleball.
That's right.
So what good is that? And he got it.
Well, it's 3-0.
Tell you what, if it's
Maybe I should just say he can be a little more selective. In for a strike. 3 infielders on the left side of second base. The Balboni shift is on. So many clubs do that. There's a good look at Gaetti and Al Newman and Steve Lombardozzi bunching up there on the left side. Lost him. That's the second walk issued by Joe Niekro in the game. This one comes with 2 out and gets Bo Jackson to the plate. Bo struck out on a pitch low and away his first time up. But the rookie still leading the club in home runs and RBIs. 11 homers, 32 driven in. Billy Gardner had the writers here in Minnesota going. Somebody asked him, how fast is Bo Jackson? He said, well, Bo hit a ground ball back through the pitcher's legs the other night. And the ball hit Bo in the rear end as he was sliding into second.
Billy Gardner's a funny man.
He's got a line for everything. Wonderful human being, and they just really loved him here in Minnesota. Everywhere you go, people say, how's Billy? How's Slick? Say, we miss him here. Two and 0 to count. Takes a rip and fouls it back. Billy Gardner's line when he was the manager of the Twins about Carl Pohlad, the millionaire owner of the Twins, he said, Mr. Pohlad is so rich he bought his dog a boy. Jackson takes 3-1 now.
Heard his line about Bill Buckner. So in the spring, I said, I heard you try to commit suicide. You jumped in front of a bus and it went right through your legs.
Billy used to kid Dick Hauser. He said, you won 100 games one year and got fired. He said, I lost 100 one year and got a new contract in Minnesota. Now the 3-1 to Bo. Count goes full. Balboni will be running with the pitch. Jackson hits it high to center field. The only chance is that it might get lost up there in that white cloth of the dome. It doesn't. Down into the glove of Kirby Puckett, and the Royals are done in the fourth. No runs, no hits, a walk and 1 left after 3.5. It's 2-1 Twins. There's a well-liked Billy Gardner. Taking a look at his former ball club. Many of these guys came up to the big leagues when Billy was the manager here. Mark Davidson, leading off the Minnesota fourth, had not yet arrived in the big leagues. Billy was the skipper here. Davidson kind of went backwards last year. He had a great 1985 season at Orlando where he hit better than 300 with 25 homers, but had trouble making contact last year. Tom Kelly, we should mention, is every bit as popular as Billy here. Very well liked. That ball hit hard at the shortstop Salazar, who played it on a short hop and throws out Davidson.
When the Twins went hunting for a new manager last year, the players went to management and said, here's the guy. He was on the coaching staff here. Ray Miller was fired, and the Twin players went to bat for Tom Kelly.
Talk about good lines. Kelly changed his number this year from 41 to 10. Somebody asked him why. He said, when I walk down the street, I want all the women to say, there's Tom Kelly. He's a perfect 10. Ball 1 to Al Newman. Walked his last time up. Kelly was born here in Minnesota. He grew up in New Jersey, but born in the state of Minnesota when his dad was pitching semi-pro ball here back in the summer of 1950. Newman awaiting the 2-0 pitch from Jackson. That's a strike.
And he's the youngest manager in the major leagues at the age of 36.
Tom Kelly played briefly in the majors, had 1 home run in the big time. In 1975, hit it off Vern Rule. I'm sure Vern doesn't like to be reminded of that. They appealed to the first base umpire, Al Clark, who says no swing. So it's 3-1 now to Al Newman with 1 out and nobody on. In the Twins' half of the 4th inning. It's 2-1, Minnesota leading. Detroit leading Milwaukee after 5 innings tonight, 5-0. Larry Herndon has homered for the Tigers, his 4th with nobody aboard. Backhanded by Salazar, long throw and a good one. 2 up and 2 down. Both of them taken care of by Salazar at shortstop. Now Dan Gladden, the batter, hitless in 2 trips. Minnesota Twins had to eat $750,000 of Mickey Hatcher's salary in order to go ahead and sign Dan Gladden and bring him over here from the Giants, the 3 minor league pitchers. Tom Kelly just kept lobbying, saying that Hatcher didn't have a spot on the club, but he wanted somebody with speed and a good bat like Dan Gladden, and there's an example of that good bat as he rips one to center field, a 2-out single. And Gladden can run. He's stolen 9 bases. Quick short stroke here. Watch this. Now Kirby Puckett doubled into the right field corner and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Royals, only 2 wins out of 7 games in the Metrodome here last year. Lost their first game of this series last night. They're already talking about a new stadium here in Minneapolis. The Twins president, Jerry Bell, says he'd like to see a 45,000-seat baseball-only stadium built on the parking lot right beside this one.
It's an interesting concept. Except the weather, if you know the weather is going to be bad, you can move the game indoors. Try to make it same ticket configuration as this one, so the tickets would be compatible. And his theory is you can dig that parking lot out, put the parking garage underground. I would love to see that.
Well, it certainly worked in Kansas City, and they'd like something to let them rival the Truman Sports Complex there.
If they take all the dome stadiums away, I won't feel bad.
Not at all. Jackson here has jumped in front of Kirby Puckett. A ball and 2 strikes.
Weak in the domes, you feel like Punxsutawney Phil when you come out. The groundhog that looks for his shadow every spring.
Danny Jackson drives Gladden back. There goes Gladden. Hit up the middle by Puckett, and Gladden will go on to third. So the Twins, executing the hit and run to perfection tonight for the second time, have runners at first and third with 2 outs.
We had a lot of problems with 2 men out. I'm going to take another look at it. There you see Gladden on the move, and Puckett just slapped it right back up the middle.
Well, it'll be up to Gary Gaetti now to pick up Gladden from third. History is on the Royals side tonight. The least successful date on the calendar in Twins history has been June the 9th, when the Twins over the years have gone 4-20.
It's an odd little stat that they give you every day on the Twins notes, how they've done on this date down through the years. Tom Mee always keeps track of that sort of thing.
Way upstairs to Gaetti. Gary Gaetti singled and scored his first time up, but I am sure he is very, very glad that Brett Saberhagen was scratched tonight. Gaetti was 0 for 10 in his career against Sabes, who was supposed to be the starting pitcher tonight, but stepped on that ball in the outfield in Seattle, and Danny Jackson had to take his start. 2-0 now to Gary Gaetti.
Which brings up a point, Denny. Danny going on 3 days rest and throwing a ton of pitches here. He had 62 when this inning started. You have to wonder how far he will go tonight.
62 in 3 innings. That is a bunch. Missed again. 3-0. Steve Farr going to work in the Royals bullpen. Swings at the 3-0 pitch and lines it foul, and just foul. Speaking of June the 9th, on this date back in '66, 5 Twins homered in 1 inning. Rich Rollins, Oliver Salas, Tony Oliva, Don Mincher, and Harmon Killebrew. Only time in American League history that 5 home runs have been hit in 1 inning. And they almost got 6 that day. Jimmy Hall hit one 2 feet from the top of the fence that would have made it 6.
Against the Kansas City A's.
Gaetti hits it high back to third base. Bo Jackson coming in. And makes the catch.
He couldn't find it for a moment.
So the Twins strand a couple in the 4th. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 left. And after 4, still 2-1 Twins. The top of the 5th, 2-1 Twins. Don't forget the 6th inning will be the Miller Lite Rally inning. For this game, we picked a postcard from Raytown, Missouri. The Royals are #1, but just barely at this point. A game over the Twins coming into this one. And hello to you. The 42-year-old knuckleballer, Joe Niekro, has been tough on the Royals so far, trying to beat them for the first time since April of 1971. Angel Salazar will lead off the 5th inning against him. Angel had an RBI single here last night. Lost at the shortstop, Al Newman. Quickly 1 out.
And I think if I were looking at this game from the Minnesota point of view, I'd really be concerned. They've had a bunch of chances to put this game away early. But they have stranded 8 men in 3 innings and scored 2. And they have just a 1-run lead with all the opportunities they've had. That's the kind of a pattern in a game that always concerns you when you're the team that had the opportunities and let them get away that much.
Jamie Quirk struck out his first time up against Niekro tonight. Talking about weird stats, there's a number for everything in baseball, and it's just downright incredible sometimes, the coincidental way they all fit together. I found one sequence that just boggles the mind. Gary Gaetti last year hit 34 home runs, but the day he hit his 24th, Fred, it was given up by Don Sutton, and that snapped a string of 24 consecutive scoreless innings by California pitchers. The Angels center fielder, number 24, Gary Pettis, got his glove on the ball, but it fell over the fence. There's a solid single to right field by Jamie Quirk. 1 on and 1 out now in the Royals' 5th. This gets better, though. The Twins won that game 2-0, and the only other run in the game was driven in by their number 24, Tom Brunansky.
Numerologists went pouring into the streets and celebrated wildly. Had one of the great happenings in numerology.
I guess so. It may mean something, but I doubt it.
Coincidence?
Here's Willie Wilson. Willie 0 for 2 tonight has bounced out and flied to center. It's back to front, and Quirk just does get back into first base. Willie drawing the bat back at the last possible second. And now watch Jamie Quirk hustle to get in there. Gene Larkin had to hustle to get back to the bag to take that throw. The pitch was a ball. It's 1-0 to Willie. Work at first, 1 out. Twins on top, 2-1, top of the 5th. 1-1 now. Tomorrow night, Charlie Lee Brandt against Bert Blyleven. That'll be a cerebral matchup, I'll guarantee you. Wilson gets it over the leaping shortstop Al Newman, and the Royals are in business again. Runners at first and second with 1 out here in the 5th. Wilson with his first hit of the night. And now Kevin Seitzer, who singled and stole a base his last time up. Kevin is 1 for 1 officially. He walked and scored the only Royal run in the first.
Kevin was up there last night with the bases loaded, 2 out in the 9th. And had an opportunity to get the ball game tied, didn't do it. You know he'd love to make up for that a bit right here.
This game is already an hour and 33 minutes old. And that's the exact time of the fastest 9-inning game ever in Twins history. Back in '82, they played 9 innings against the Toronto Blue Jays in an hour and 33 minutes, and we're about to surpass that here in the top of the 5th. The 2-0 to Seitzer. High fly ball, deep right field. Room there for Davidson, who comes back in now. Quirk moving for third base. A throw off line. And the Royals now with runners at first and third with 2 men out. So a chance now for Danny Tartable to drive in his 27th run of the year. And maybe more if he could hit the long ball.
You wouldn't think with Danny Tartable's swing that he would be a very good knuckleball hitter, would you? He has that great big looping swing, and usually the better knuckleball hitters, if there is such a thing, guys with the short, compact strokes. But Danny got a hit on a fastball his first time up. I'd have to think Willie Wilson would be running here, too, wouldn't you?
Got to challenge Laudner, that's for sure.
Maybe hope to get Tartable a fastball.
Willie's not going anywhere. It's a knuckleball for a strike.
Got the fastball in the 2-1 count with Seitzer at first base when he got the base hit.
Willie Wilson knows what Jose Martinez just signaled. Niekro stepping off. And Willie back to his lead. Still not going. 1-1 to Tartable.
Well, want to guess a little bit. If he misses here and goes to 2-1 with Willie at first, what does he do? What is he throwing? Does he throw Tartable?
I say go ahead and run here. Not going to. Tartable swings and misses. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, he's not going to get a fastball then, is he? Not with Niekro ahead in the count.
There goes Willie, and no throw. So Willie Wilson with a stolen base, his 15th of the year.
Tim Laudner's done a good job of catching the knuckleball to this point. The 1 pass ball he's been charged with figured in the Royals' only run.
Done a good job of chasing it a few times, too.
Yeah. Outside.
3 balls, 2 strikes now to Tartable. with Quirk at third and Wilson at second base. Base hit here, and the Royals could take the lead again. Jamie Quirk leading cheers. Struck him out. Joe Niekro, knuckleball, strands two more Royals here in the fifth. Halfway through in the Metrodome, Twins 2, Royals 1. Through 4.5 here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Twins 2 runs on 6 hits. The Royals 1 run on 5 hits. Neither team has made an error as yet. To the bottom of the fifth we go, and here's Fred White.
Thank you, Denny. Gene Larkin is going to start it. Tom Brunansky and Steve Lombardozzi to follow. Tell you what, if you were buying stock in a young hitter, you could do worse than Gene Larkin, I would think. Well, this guy's a good-looking young hitter, isn't he?
He really is. He jumped on that pitch from Quisenberry last night with the bases loaded. And lined it into the right field corner.
Said Roy Smalley told me,
yeah,
look for a pitch up and hit it. And the first one was up, so I hit it. Shortstop, Angel Salazar comes up gunning. Larkin runs pretty well, but he's out. He had walked and singled and driven in a run in his first 2 times up tonight, so the Royals have retired him for the first time. It's his 4th year of professional baseball. He's been over 300 every year. Remember that name, Gene Larkin. Now Tom Brunansky, who has grounded to short and driven in a run with a sacrifice fly to right.
Larkin could jump in there in that long line of all-star caliber first baseman someday in the American League. What a position.
What if you got the 6th or 7th best first baseman in the American League? You got yourself a heck of a player. 1 strike to Tom Brunansky. It's a good hitter. Good hitter with power.
Look how Brunansky hangs those hands right out over the plate, Fred. Pushes his hands out away from him. Just as the pitch gets there, he gets them back into the launching position. Everybody's got to start from back there, but he hangs them right out over the plate.
Hitting styles, boy, you can study them. 1 and 2. They all do the same thing. There's where you start. Now you have to go back to go forward, say hitting instructor, so he does go back and then forward.
Well, Carl Yastrzemski used to start with his hands above his head. Willie Mays started with his hands down around his hips, but they all got it back to that launching position before taking a hack.
Speaking of hacks, ball is drilled toward the corner and off the wall. And by Bo Jackson, rolling back to the infield. Salazar is going to have to pick it up. But Brunansky will stop at second with a double. So Brunansky doubles off the wall and left over the head of Bo Jackson. And Steve Lombardozzi will be up there.
Right off the 343 feet sign. You came up with an interesting stat before this game about the average length of home runs being further here now.
Well, last year, home runs in the Metrodome averaged 404 feet in length. This year, 9 feet further. They're averaging 413 feet in length.
Could it be the ball?
Huh?
Could it be the ball?
I think so. We were downstairs. I was asking Gary Blaylock about it. He's really been charting home runs. And last year, there were 2,490 home runs hit in the American League. They're on a pace right now to hit over 2,700 this year. So when the average length of a home run in the same ballpark where the conditions are the same every day, which is one point to bring up in this, when the average one is 9 feet further, something has changed. Remember when a 400-foot home run was something to talk about? Pitch inside on another Lombardozzi. Some of the players receive a gift from Moen, makers of the Pulsation Shower Head. It lets you choose the water flow from pulsating to gently soothing. The Pulsation Shower Head from Moen. Runner at second, 1 out, 2-1 Minnesota, bottom of the fifth. Jackson with another fight on his hands here. Seitzer chases the runner back, 2 gone. Lombardozzi grounds out to third. Kevin got that into webbing the glove, and it almost came squirting out of there, but he made the play. Boy, he has played third base. I don't know how much you've watched Kevin Seitzer. He comes to the park very early in the afternoon. He'll be out here about 2 o'clock as you watch him make the play again. And he's always working. You worry about him wearing himself out sometimes. He's always stretching, exercising, swinging the bat. He's on the move all the time.
Today he had Jose Martinez hitting him one high pop-up after another to make sure that he could find the ball against this fabric roof here on the dome.
He's a tireless worker. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. He's been through this before in professional baseball, but you kind of worry come August, September if he won't be worn out. Want to know the count now to Tim Laudner. He has struck out and grounded to third. Inside. Laudner hit 42 home runs in Orlando in '82 and led all of professional baseball in home runs that year, but he's having a hard time with the bat right now. Came into the game hitting 159. He's at 155 right now, but he has hit 4 home runs in this one. Tom Kelly was his manager that year in Orlando, so he knows all about Laudner's power. Now Jackson's behind him 3-0 and in danger of losing it.
You're talking about Seitzer wearing himself out. Somebody made that same comment to Cal Ripken Sr. about his son, Cal Jr., and he said, nah, he said, that's just what he likes to do.
Well, you get the feeling that Seitzer's the same way.
Absolutely. He loves what he's doing.
He'd rather be here at the ballpark doing that than sitting in his hotel room, and the ball is launched, and it's gone. Well, he's not hitting the ball well, but he's hit it a long, long way. Now it's 4-1 Minnesota. Laudner picks up his 5th home run of the year.
And for the 2nd straight year here at the Metrodome, Tim Laudner has homered off Danny Jackson and touched him up, but good.
Just as Steve Farr got up and started throwing in the bullpen, Laudner jumped all over a Danny Jackson pitch, and here it is. Danny just threw it belt high out over the plate, and Laudner got all over it. 4-1 Twins with 2 out in the 5th, and there's Mark Davis. They estimate that one at 423 feet here in the Metrodome. They have a system. They have surveyed this stadium. Toward right center. That ball's going to plug the gap. Davidson headed for second. Wilson up with the ball, and Davidson's going to try for third, and he'll make it. Mark Davidson with his first triple of the year, and Danny Jackson being roughed up pretty good here. Working with 3 days rest, he's thrown a lot of pitches already tonight. Now the Twins really starting to hit the ball hard, and here comes Al Newman, who's 1 for 2 with a single tonight. He has walked and grounded out. Popped him up. Alboni has room, makes the play, and that's the inning. But the Twins score 2 more on 3 hits. They leave a man. Now after 5, it's Minnesota 4, Royals 1. Back to the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We move to the 6th inning, and now the Twins have a 4-1 lead. The Twins beat the Royals 5-3 last night after the Royals got through the Kingdome in Seattle in pretty good shape. You wonder if those old dome worries are coming back to haunt them here in this series.
Well, this place has been a house of horrors for them in the past. They only won 2 out of 7 here last year, and I tell you, Tim Laudner really jumped on that Danny Jackson delivery there. The Twins have got some power and some speed. They're going to be a tough team to stay ahead of.
Well, they're going to score some runs, you know that. The task on the Royals offense now, go get some runs off Joe Niekro. They haven't been able to do that so far tonight. They picked up the 1 run in the 1st inning, and that's all the Royals have managed so far, so we'll see how they can do here. The designated hitter leading it off. Steve Farr continues to throw out in the Royals bullpen, so he may take over in the 6th inning for the Royals. 1-0, the count to Thad Bosley. He is grounded out to the second baseman twice tonight, driven in the only Royal run. 18,563, the fate attendance here at the Metrodome tonight. Bosley fouls it off. You were talking about the proposal to build a new stadium adjacent to this one. Without getting into a long soliloquy about domes, you look at this arena and the one in Seattle. Baseball simply cannot let cities build facilities for football and squeeze baseball in the best fashion they can anymore. I think they're just going to have to take a much stronger voice in the building of facilities like this in cities that want to build dome stadiums. Baseball can't be an afterthought.
I'm really surprised that that happened the way it did here in Minnesota. Twins, fairly proud tradition in this town.
Bosley takes it to left field, and a catch made there by Dan Gladden. So Bosley has a hit taken away from him. Gladden makes a fine play near the line in left. And one out now to Frank White. This, by the way, is the Miller Rally inning. If the Royals score here, we'll be sending a 19-inch General Electric color TV with remote control to B.J. Marlett in Raytown, Missouri. If the Royals don't score, we'll still send him a jacket. Remember to enter the Miller Lite Rally inning contest. Send a postcard with your name, address, telephone number, and jacket size to Miller Lite Rally inning, care of DAF TV, 3030 Summit, Kansas City, Missouri, 64108. Send in your card. First chance you get, you might be the proud winner of a new color TV and a new jacket. The point I wanted to make, Denny, was that you play 81 baseball games in here a year. College football team here will play, what, 7, 8 maybe? And the Vikings will play dozen. So I think the team that plays the 81 games is going to have to get a much more consideration they've gotten in Seattle and here in Minnesota. They're just not good places for baseball. Frank fouls it off. And the count 1-2. That is what the defensive players has to fight. It's a white ceiling. They put some orangish lights on it now, and it's not that dark. As dark as I'm seeing on my monitor, it might be just the color you're seeing at home. It could be exact, but it's a little better than it was. But that is a bright white ceiling here, and the ball simply gets lost against it. Oh, Jackson had trouble finding one earlier in this game. Frank White said an interesting thing. He said there's a bigger danger of collisions between players here because you can't take your eye off the ball. And if you remember last night, Lombardozzi and the right fielder had a little collision in a ball game. Frank foul tipped it. Still up there 2-2. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Royals Television Network.
Get in the swing of it. Royals baseball. Royals baseball.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Frank White. You look at facilities like this, and it's all the more reason to be proud of the 2-stadium facility in Kansas City. Boy, there's a city that did it right. And it's still the envy of everything else in sports. Frank hits one high in the air to center field, and Kirby Puckett is over there waiting for it. 2 gone. Steve Balboni will hit with 2 out, nobody on. Royals are home Friday night to face the California Angels. That will be the night of the Royals Wives Food Drive. June the 12th, with the Angels in town, the Royals Wives will have tables set up outside gates A and B at Royal Stadium. Pitch inside, ball 1. They'll be there from 4 to 9 p.m. Friday, June the 12th, and fans attending the game are invited to bring a non-perishable food item to the Wives tables. People donating 4 food items or more will receive an autographed photo of a Royals player. Ball 2 is high, 2-0. That is one of the great things that the Royals and their wives do during the year to raise money for charity or to help needy people.
That food is distributed through Harvesters, the community food network to Kansas City's needy. Great group of people. Dan Quisenberry, of course, donates money for each save that he collects over the course of the season to harvesters, and they've donated a good deal of it through Dan's great career.
Ryota Balboni. Ball 4, he walked him. And Bo Jackson will hit with Balboni at first and 2 out. Let us suggest some non-perishable food items that you can bring, and we really hope you come to the game on Friday and take part in this one. This is a good one. It'll help a needy family. Would suggest peanut butter, canned meats, tuna, powdered milk, packaged goods, dried beans, peas, rice, and macaroni. And yes, you can give money. You usually buy baby formula with money. In the last 4 years, the wives have collected 25,400 pounds of food, reached an estimated 1,016 families, each of them with a 3-day supply of food. Bo takes high, ball 1. So come on out. Even if you can't stay for the ball game, come by and drop off some food items for the Royals Wives Food Drive. June 12th, the Angels in town. Speaking of charities, on Thursday 11th, it'll be George Brett's golf tournament to benefit ALS. Hot shot, base hit left field, and all of a sudden the Royals are going to get the tying run to the plate. Bo Jackson singles. And Angel Salazar now will hit with 2 on and 2 out here in the top of the 6th inning. The Royals now have a half dozen hits. There's Dan Quisenberry. He and his wife Janie spearheads the food drive, and as you mentioned, Dan always contributes money for every save. And if you wonder about harvesters, they're an interfaith, not-for-profit group. It's a coalition of business people, social service agencies, and churches, and they distribute that food immediately. What better thing could you do than feed a hungry person? It's a strike to Salazar. Away, and it's 0-2 to Angel. Hey, I've always thought one of the things that makes Kansas City the great city that it is how much people help people in that city.
It really is a caring community.
So here's a chance to help somebody and have a little fun, see a baseball game while you're at it. Struck him out. Angel didn't know that the ball had been dropped, but Laudner tags him, and that's the inning. So again, a knuckleball strikeout of the hitter. Dale's Niekro out of trouble. No runs to hit. 2 left to the bottom of the 6th. 4-1. Twins lead the Royals. Keith Farr will take over on the mound for the Royals now. Danny Jackson worked 5 innings tonight. Gave up 9 hits and 4 runs, 1 home run. Danny came out tonight on 3 days rest. Ian Liebrand have moved up in the rotation. This was Brett Saberhagen's turn to pitch tonight, but he sprained the ankle in the outfield in Seattle. So Farr takes over. Dan Gladden in. Well, at halftime, Celtics have an 8-point lead over the Lakers at the Boston Garden. Is there really magic in that building?
The mystique of the parquet. I love that line.
Outside, 1-1. Yeah, the Boston Celtics have gone public. They sold stock this past year. I can just foresee the day. 1-1 pitch. Fastball inside where there's a timeout setting up the game-winning play. Coach designs it, and the fellow says, excuse me, but he only votes 10,000 shares, Coach. As a guy that votes 40,000, maybe I should get this shot. What do you think?
That stock has not been doing all that well. I've been keeping my eye on that.
Celtics have done, they're doing better than their stock.
Yes.
1-2 pitch. Backhanded Salazar, sets, long throw, not in time. And Gladden beats out the infield single. So he's 2 for 4 tonight. Twins have the leadoff man on, and here comes Kirby Puckett. I mean, who has made a bigger change in the last couple of years in their hitting style than Kirby Puckett? You saw him 2 or 3 years ago. You saw a ground ball for all practical purposes.
pretty much strictly an opposite field hitter when he came up. Tony Oliva just completely changed him over, got him closer to the plate, got him to turn on the inside pitches and pull him.
In 84 and 557 at-bats, Kirby Puckett hit no home runs. In 85, 691 at-bats, 4 home runs. And then the change came. And last year, Kirby Puckett hit 328 with 31 home runs and drove in 96.
Yeah, he's the first player in history to go through an entire season and not hit a home run, and then later in his career hit at least 30 in a single season. First time it's ever been done in baseball history.
You'd think he'd hit one out by accident if he has that kind of power. And he is a strong hitter. Just Gladden at first. But he used to just hit ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. And boom. Curve outside. 2-0. There's Tony Oliva, the man that brought about the change. If you ever saw him hit, you know he knows something about hitting. The press room wall here, they have 3 pictures up there. Killebrew, Oliva, and Rod Carew. There's an attack right there. Tell you what, when the guy that managed them made out his lineup card, he had 3 spots in there to start with. Runner was going. It's a pop fly into shallow center. And Willie Wilson is there to make the play. Gladden back to first base. So Puckett is out on the fly to shallow center, and he's 2 for 4 tonight. Now Gary Gaetti, who's 1 for 2 and has walked. This guy can play a little third base. We talked about Jim Presley. Doesn't have the big reputation, an excellent third baseman in Seattle. Some things can be said about Gary Gaetti. Runner goes. Jamie Quirk's throw gets on into center field, and now Gladden's on his way to third. It'll be a stolen base, his 10th, and a throwing error charge to Jamie Quirk after the ball got through. Now a runner at third with 1 man out. And Gaetti can get him home with just a fly ball. So Gladden now at third base. And the count 1-0 to Gary Gaetti. And the Royals are going to pull the infield in on the right side, halfway on the left. Strike call to Gaetti. 1-1. The error charged to Jamie Quirk, the stolen base, the 10th. 4-1 Minnesota at the moment here in the bottom of the 6th. They now have hit the Royals 10-6. Well, Toronto at it again tonight. They're beating the Yankees 7-0. Jesse Barfield had his 15th home run. John Cerruti is pitching that ball.
The Yankees' frustration at being overtaken in the American League East by Toronto spilling over in that ball game. Both Lou Piniella and his third base coach, Mike Ferraro, have been ejected from the game.
Well, Toronto was my pick in that division coming out of spring training, and I'm going to stay with them. I just think that they have a great lineup. The question in a lot of people's mind is, did they have enough pitching? And guess who's leading the American League in ERA right now? The Toronto Blue Jays.
Now, Dave Steve with a pretty good outing last night, and if he comes all the way back, look out.
Yankees are hurting now with Henderson and Mattingly hurt. I really think the question between the 2 teams at the start of the season, 2-2 pitch. Curve popping up behind the plate. Jamie Quirk looking for room near the stands, and he makes the play. So 2 out now as Gaetti fouls out to the catcher. Steve Farr made a good pitch. I think that the way to pick those 2 teams is say, well, whichever one of those teams gets the best pitching is probably going to win that division. And so far, that has been Toronto.
And so far from what we've seen tonight, the Yankees may rue the day that they let Joe Niekro get away. He really hadn't pitched that badly for them this year, although his record was only 3-4. He had a very good hits to innings pitched ratio and has certainly been tough on the Royals tonight.
Here's Gene Larkin, the switch hitter, up on the left side now. Well, he gets right on top of the plate. Farr may back him off, and does. Throws inside, and Larkin never flinched. I think the pitch was supposed to back him off, but he didn't move. 1-0 the count. Runner at third, 2 out. Curve strike, well thrown, 1-1. George Steinbrenner had sent Joe Niekro a magnum of champagne when he and Phil surpassed the Perrys. And when Joe got traded, he left it in his locker with a note that said, "No thanks." He was upset with the Yankees. Fastball low, 2-1.
What he was upset more than anything else over was when they let his brother Phil go to Cleveland.
Curve line to Balboni, and he's got it. The inning is over. No runs, a hit, a man left, 1 error. And now we move on to the 7th inning at the Metrodome. Twins 4, Royals 1. Number 9 hitter for the Royals. He's 1 for 2. Singled his last time up. Good look at the Metrodome and a crowd of 18,563 on hand here. Wilson next, then Seitzer. If anybody gets on, Danny Tartabull, the knuckleballer Joe Niekro back to the mound, and he has been an outstanding pitcher so far tonight. Royals have managed 6 hits off of him, but just the 1 run. That came in the first inning. Seitzer walked with 1 out, and Tartabull got a 2-1 fastball and singled up the middle. The runners moved up on a pass ball, scored on Bosley's ground ball, and Niekro has shut him down completely since that time. Some of the players receive a camera from Yashica, makers of the new 230 AF autofocus single lens reflex. Catch the winning slide into home with the innovative trap focus. The Yashica 230 AF autofocus SLR camera. Right, Denny?
Okay.
Did I get those numbers and letters right? It's the 1-0 pitch. Strike call. 1-1.
Like reading an eye chart.
Yankees trying to come back in that ball game against the Blue Jays. Ron Kittle homered in the 7th. Nobody on his 5th. Cotto with nobody on his 2nd. Now in the 8th inning, it's 7-2 Toronto. Jamie fouls one out of play. Boston and Baltimore 1-1. Cal Ripken has his 15th home run. Detroit 6, Milwaukee 2. Bottom of the 8th in Detroit. Larry Herndon hit his 4th. Cubs beat the Mets 6-5 today. Johnson, Tuffle, and Mookie Wilson all homered for the Mets. Dunston got number 4. Durham number 13. The Cubs, but that was not the big news at Wrigley Field today. Darryl Strawberry was. Oh, it's a bolt. It's a deep right center field, and it is going to be off the wall. Jamie Quirk around first, on his way to second, and he's in with a double. So Quirk gets a leadoff double. Jamie's 2 for 3 in this ball game. And Willie Wilson, who singled his last time up, will be up there. Hey, Darryl Strawberry was late to a game for the 2nd day in a row today, and he has been fined and benched by the Mets. He was late to Wrigley Field yesterday, late again today. Giants lead the Reds 10-2 tonight in the bottom of the 8th. They led 6-0 last night. The Reds, who've been a great comeback team this year, came back and won it 7-6, but Dave Parker's been thrown out of that game. He's been the key figure in most of their comebacks this year. Pirates 8, Montreal nothing, bottom of the 8th. Phillies beat the Cardinals 3-2. Glenn Wilson hit his 9th, Juan Samuel his 9th. Willie fouls it back. Dodgers 5, Atlanta 2. Bottom of the 8th. I'm going to say that Tommy Lasorda's tongue lashing did the Dodgers some good. They played pretty well since he cut down on them. Mike Marshall hit his 6th home run. John Shelby hit his 4th, and the Orioles may wonder a bit about that trade. Wilson rips it up the right field line. That's a fair ball in the corner. Jamie Quirk comes pedaling around third. He's going to score. Wilson's at second standing up, and the Royals are down by 2 runs now, and they get the tying run of the plate. Back-to-back doubles from Quirk and Willie Wilson. Willie drives in his 8th run of the year, and I mean he hit it on the button.
Yeah, these last 2 hits have been the 2 hardest hit balls of the entire evening off Joe Niekro. In action in the bullpen.
Minnesota Twins get busy in the bullpen. Keith Atherton begins to throw, and now comes Dick Such, the Minnesota pitching coach. Houston leading San Diego 1-0 after 5. Danny Darwin against Dave Dravecky in the Astrodome. You've been watching the attendance in both leagues for the last couple of weeks.
Some big crowds. Great to see.
Milwaukee put up 250s in the Yankee series. Lots of crowds in the 30s and 40s. Cubs had 4 standing room only crowds for the Cardinals last weekend. Such doesn't stay long. I don't know what a pitching coach says to a knuckleballer when he goes out there anyway. How are you? What would you like to do?
Yeah, what can you tell him except don't throw any straight ones?
Larry Karen suggests that was your flight from New York today because he just got here today.
Might well have been the topic of conversation.
What'd you have to eat? Sights are in there. Low and outside. 2-0 to Kevin Seitzer. Kevin has singled and walked, been out on a fly to right. Danny Tartable in the on-deck circle. 4-2 Minnesota. We're in the 7th. Seitzer, line drive. Great catch by the second baseman. Oh, Lombardozzi took a hit away from Kevin Seitzer. And that one could turn this thing back around. Kevin had it headed for right field, and the Royals would have had another run home, or at least runners at first and third with nobody out. And look at Lombardozzi's play.
Good job of base running here by Willie Wilson. He might have decided to try to score on that ball to right field. Instead, he made sure he was going to make sure it got through before he wandered too far away from second base. He gets back and prevents him from doubling him up.
Excellent base running. Here's Tartable. Now with one man out. Strike. So Lombardozzi makes a great play to help his ball club. The Royals at least have the tying runs on there with nobody out. Willie probably would not have scored on the play with nobody out. I doubt that they would have risked sending him. Throw back. Not in time. Newman, the shortstop, coming in behind Willie. Keith Atherton continues to throw in the Minnesota bullpen. All 3 Royals have hit the ball hard in this inning. Don't lose sight of the fact that even though Seitzer was out, he hit it on the button. Way inside. He had a good cut that time, but fouled it back. Now it's 1-2 to Danny Tartable. Down in the count. Sharply hit, base hit. Wilson will stop at third. And now the Royals have runners at first and third. And now you see how big Lombardozzi's play was. Now it's a 4-3 ball game if that ball goes through. And the Royals have the tying run in scoring position. Now they, as it is, they have first and third with one out. The tying runs are on there. And Bosley at the plate represents the lead run. Thad 0 for 3 tonight. Drove in a run with a ground ball, and now Laudner looking into the Twins dugout as he heads for the mound to talk to Joe Niekro. Atherton still throwing in the bullpen, and out comes Tom Kelly. That may do it. Kelly is going to make the change, so that will do it for Joe Niekro here. He'll go to the bullpen and get Keith Atherton. We are in the 7th inning at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Royals have the tying runs on there, with runners at first and third, one out, with Atherton coming to the mound. Let's pause for this announcement. Niekro, who just arrived in Minneapolis today, has left the ball game now. His first start as a Twin, he leads with a 4-2 lead, and he got a roaring ovation from 18,563 people here as he walked off the field at the Metrodome. A standing ovation and a roaring ovation. With this reaction from Joe Niekro, a tip of the cap to the crowd as they headed into the dugout. And now here is Keith Atherton to take over, and he has been an outstanding pitcher out of the bullpen for the Twins this year. This will be his 21st appearance, all of them in relief. He's 4-1. In 32 innings, he's given just 26 hits and only 2 home runs. He's walked 17, struck out 18. So he's had a little bit of control problem. And you got a good chance to make contact against him. The Royals have runners at first and third with one out. Thad Bosley in there. So Atherton takes over. The tying runs on base with one out in the 7th for the Royals. And you can bet the Royals will be happy to see Joe Niekro out of the ball game. I can't think of a team. I never heard anybody say, I like to hit against a knuckleballer. You just don't hear that. Atherton's first pitch to Bosley. High pop up down the left field line. That's not enough to get the run home. Left fielder Gladden is there and makes the catch in foul territory. So now 2 out, and it's going to be up to Frank White if the Royals get it done here. Gladden came a long way to make the catch. 4-2 Twins. Runners at first and third. And Frank White up there. Frank 0 for 3 tonight. He has a 5-game hitting streak. It hasn't been that productive. He has 5 hits over that stretch. And he stands in now against Atherton. And the Royals need extra bases to tie it. You see Tim Laudner behind the plate. He has to be happy that Joe Niekro has left the game. Hot shot, but foul past third. Frank hit it on the button.
Fred, you saw Dan Gladden struggle under that pop-up. When they first signed him, they had to use him as a DH. He had been considered a pretty good defensive outfielder in San Francisco, but he had so much trouble adjusting to this fabric roof and the pop-ups and the fly balls here in the Metrodome that they had to use him for a DH for a long time. And now a new glove for Tim Laudner. He put that big floppy thing away and has a smaller mitt now to catch the hard-throwing Keith Atherton.
Ground ball sharply hit, but at the shortstop, and that's the inning. The Royals denied the tying run. With all that, they come up with 1 on 3 hits. They lead 2 big ones to the bottom of the 7th. Minnesota 4, Royals 2. So the Royals really having problems getting runs home. They're down 4-2. And far back to the mound for his second inning. Tom Brunansky leads it off, then Lon Bardozzi. And Tim Laudner. We move to the bottom of the 7th here at the Metrodome. Royals now have been at hit 10-9. They're still in this ball game. They get a couple of more shots at it. It's just been tough for them to get runs across the plate tonight. Joe Niekro threw 127 pitches. And then a word about Tim Laudner. I thought Laudner did a laudable job of catching the knuckleball tonight. First time he's had any experience with it.
He knew it wasn't going to be easy. I thought, too, that he rose to the occasion pretty well. First inning was a little tough, but...
Well, the first pitch he got hit him on the wrist.
That's right.
And bounced away from him. Breaking ball low. 3-0 now to Tom Brunansky. So far in danger of walking the leadoff man here. Tomorrow night, Royals wrap up this 10-game road trip. Charlie Leibrandt will go against Bert Blyleven. Blyleven has already surrendered 20 home runs this year. Ball 4. Royals have not taken advantage of the Metrodome. They have yet to hit a home run in this series. Jerry Don Clayton will go to work in the Royals bullpen. 78 home runs have been hit here in the Metrodome so far this year. The Twins have hit 40. They have given up 38 in here. So here's Lon Bardozzi. He's like the kid outside the candy store looking in, the only Twin without a hit so far tonight. Twins have distributed them pretty evenly. They have 10 hits and spread out over 8 hitters. Tim Gladden has 2 singles. Kirby Puckett has a single and a double. Bardozzi looking at his third base coach. He's rolling through a series of signs for him. Well, it'll be good to get home, huh? Friday night, the Royals and the Angels, and again, that's the Royals Wives Food Drive. Sunday the 14th, Frank White Growth Poster Day. The Royals and the Dairy Council give all the kids 14 and under a life-size poster of Frank White with a growth chart on the side. Pitch outside. 1-0 to Lon Bardozzi, who's grounded out 3 times tonight. Rick Rennick flashing signs. Steve Farr needs to throw a strike. Outside 2-0. Steve Farr has been an outstanding pitcher of late for the Royals. He got off to kind of a rocky start this year, but he has really turned this season around. Can't control the breaking ball right now. That one slides outside on him. So now he's behind Lombardozzi 3-0 after he walked Bernansky to start the inning. Fastball right through there. Now 3-1 to Lombardozzi. Lombardozzi hitting .252 with 3 home runs and 9 driven in. The difference in the ballgame right now, Tim Laudner's 2-run home run in the 5th inning. It's 4-2 Minnesota in the bottom of the 7th. Runner goes. Works throw. He is out. Now Denny gets to explain what they're doing.
Well, Bruno normally is not considered much of a base-stealing threat. Big outfielder takes off here, and Quirk guns him down.
Jamie got a good pitch to handle and made a quick and very accurate throw.
Did somebody miss a sign?
Well, I wonder. I don't know why he'd be running if it wasn't something going on. Now the 3-2 pitch. Curve fouled off. And if Farr comes back from 3-0 now after a man's caught stealing against Lombardozzi, what a turnaround in this inning that'll be. I don't know why Bernansky was going. It was 3-1. They might have had something on. Could have been hit and run. Tom Kelly likes to play hit and run. Well, they struck him out, so what a big turnaround now. With a runner at first and nobody out, he had a 3-0 count on Lombardozzi. Then Bernansky caught stealing on a 3-1 pitch that was a strike. And now here's the 3-2 fastball, and he swings and misses. And just like that, there are 2 men out with nobody on. And Tim Laudner's up there, 1 for 3 tonight, with a 2-run home run that is the difference in the game so far. In the 8th, the Royals will have Balboni, Jackson, and Salazar up there. Say that Steve Farr has found his stroke now. It's 0-2, and he's been throwing strikes since he went 3-0 to Lombardozzi. Just missed the corner with a fastball.
That was the 7th time, by the way, this season that Bernansky has tried to steal a base. He's been caught 4 times. Tom, stop that.
Below 500 in that department's not good. Not the only thing worse is finishing second in a gunfight. Pretty curveball. Grounded to third. Seitzer's got him, and that's the inning. No runs, no hits, nobody left. After 7 in Minnesota, Twins 4, Royals 2.
7 innings gone at the Metrodome. It's 4-2 Twins, but it could be worse. The Twins stranded 10 base runners through the first 6 innings. Totals right now, Minnesota 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors. The Royals 2 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. To the 8th inning we go, and here again, Denny Matthews.
All right, Den, 19 runners stranded in the contest in 7 innings. In the last half inning for the Twins, the first inning that they did not leave at least one. So it's been a very frustrating game offensively for both teams. The Royals have stranded 6 runners in the last 3 innings. But now they're dealing with Atherton instead of Niekro, and Steve Balboni, who had success against Joe Niekro, takes an Atherton fastball for a strike. Steve, 2 walks and a single against Joe Niekro. Boy, that play by Lombardozzi sure turned the inning around, didn't it? Steve, after a slider, fouls it off and had a pretty good swing, and it's 0-2. The bat boy sprinting out of the Minnesota dugout in quest of a loose ball took a header. He just made a dive about halfway between the dugout and the third base foul line. Life's most embarrassing moment. 0-2 on Balboni. 4-2 Minnesota. Fastball outside corner. Steve retired for the first time tonight. Fastball really tailed back a little bit and just picked up the outer edge, and that's all that Larry McCoy needed to punch out Steve Balboni. Bo Jackson, a single in 3 tries, singled his last time up. One strike on Bo.
Jackson, of course, really came on in his last game at the Kingdome once he got used to that place. He's had plenty of at-bats here now to get used to the Metrodome. Single his last time up. So let's think long ball.
It would pull the Royals to within 1. Royals have 9 hits, a total of 19, same total of base runners stranded in the contest. Pretty good swipe at that pitch. And the crowd applauding Yangel in the front row, just this side of the Royals dugout, who finally came up with that ball. 1-2 on Bo Jackson. Remember, it was a fastball on the outside corner that got Balboni looking. Let's see what they throw to Bo Jackson. A fastball, and he hits it 112 miles high into center field. Right center. And I mean high.
Got to give Bo a lot of credit. A lot of people on a pop-up like that one would be almost to first base by the time it was caught. Bo was almost at second base. If that ball had been mishandled in the outfield by Minnesota, Jackson would have been standing on third base with an easy chance to get back another run in this ball game.
And Denny, he does the same thing on routine ground balls when it appears that they're routine outs, but Bo, with his sheer speed, makes a routine ground ball very close at first and anything but routine. Orta batting for Salazar. No balls and 1 strike. Atherton, to his credit, has come out of the pen throwing strikes. George with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. 4-2 Minnesota, top half of the 8th. Just off the outside corner, 2-1. Lee, Brand, and Blyleven tomorrow night, final game of the series. We shall televise on most of these stations. Friday night, the Royals begin a homestand against California. Good series over the weekend. And then the A's. 2-2 on George. The Royals go down in order for the first time tonight. 2 strikeouts for Atherton. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Minnesota 4, Royals 2. 4-2 Minnesota. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Buddy Biancalana now playing shortstop. Orta, you'll recall, batted for Salazar, so there's Bud. And Mark Davidson, the batter. Davidson has a walk, a stolen base, a triple. Retired only in the 4th on a ground ball to short. Farr starts him with a curve and left it a little bit high and tight. Two balls, no strikes. Farr in his 3rd inning. Danny Jackson went the first 5. No strikes. Farr started the 7th inning by walking Tom Brunansky. But Brunansky was thrown out trying to steal on a 3-1 pitch to Lombardozzi. And Farr ended up facing the minimum. Right through there, good fastball. One of our sponsors is your participating Bryant dealer. Call him for details about 1 month's free electricity. The Twins have had their leadoff man on base in each of the 3 innings that Farr has pitched. And Jerry Don Gleaton's going to go back to work in the Royals bullpen. The Royals down 2 can ill afford to allow the Twins to score any more. Randy Bush comes out to bat for Al Newman. Randy Bush, a .248 hitter, 2 home runs, 12 RBIs. He's been a hot hitter recently. In the ball game last night, he was 2 out of 4, singled his first 2 times up. Randy Bush. He's a pull hitter. Farr starts him with a fastball and throws it for a strike. Davidson is a good base stealer. He's swiped 5 and has been caught only once. There's a little chipper into left field, a hit. And Davidson makes the turn at second and holds on as Randy Bush, batting for Newman, singles to the opposite field. And now the Twins really have something going.
Bush there took care of a pitcher's pitch. Farr got it where he wanted it, got it in on him. And Bush just fights it off.
Right over the inside corner, and as you point out, he just punches it to the opposite field, and Davidson, seeing Bo Jackson play the ball cleanly, has to stop at second. Now the Royals will look for a bunt. You can see Kevin Seitzer there just going out of your picture, having given the play to the pitcher Steve Farr. We'll see if the Royals try to cut off the lead man at third base, but the problem with that is the running speed of Mark Davidson. So if Gladden bunts, the Royals quite likely will play it straight up. That is, the shortstop going to second rather than shortstop covering third. That's the way they'll play it. The bunt is down, but the bunt is foul. And the Royals were playing it in the conventional fashion.
Last night, they sent the shortstop Salazar over to cover third in a situation like that. The ball was bunted in Steve Balboni's direction. He tried to make a quick throw to third to get the runner, but it was not there quite in time.
And the Twins had made a good play, Denny. Smalley had started that inning with a single. But Tom Kelly, their young manager, had taken Smalley out of the game. Gagne was running, and Gagne's speed made the difference. If Smalley is running to third, the Royals get the out. He bunts a curveball, far coming off the mound. They're going to let it go, and it's going to drop dead and fair. No, you can't blow it foul. We saw Lenny Randall try to do that out in Seattle a few years ago, and they didn't allow it. It's a good idea, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, give Schweitzer credit for trying. He's thinking. Now watch Kevin come along here and try to help it. Whoa!
No, that's a good idea, but it doesn't work. Bases are loaded. Now you've got Kirby Puckett. Kirby after a fastball, no contact. Two singles, the second of which was a bunt single. Count is even, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kirby Puckett has never hit a grand slam home run in the major leagues. Let's hope he doesn't pick this time to start.
He does have a single and a double tonight, 2 out of 4 and a run scored. Infield in, bases loaded, nobody out. In there, fastball, 1 and 2. The Twins, remember, have stranded 10 runners. 10 in the first 6 innings. They didn't leave anybody in the 7th and now have 3 on with nobody out in the 8th. 4-2 Minnesota. You can see the infield in at all 4 stations. The outfield shading Kirby Puckett toward right. Far needing a strikeout. Left center field, tagging up at third is Davidson. Wilson the catch. Here comes the runner home. Here's the throw home, and it's offline. The other runners remain at first and second.
The wrong outfielder caught that ball. Bo Jackson had time to get there. He has a much stronger arm than Willie Wilson. He should have called Willie off. Willie should have let him have it. Bo had plenty of time to get over there and make that catch. I don't care what the angle is. Bo still can make a much stronger throw home than Willie.
Wilson has the angle. Jackson has the arm. It is 5-2 Minnesota. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Run batted in, number 40 for Puckett. Gary Gaetti, the batter. Gary 1 out of 3, a 3rd inning single. One strike on Gary Gaetti. Infield now a double play depth. Boy, a good fastball. That fastball had Gaetti giving ground, and it nicked the inside corner. A dandy pitch from far, and we'll watch it again. Great pitch right here. It's a good call. 0-2 on Gaetti. Runners are going. Curve low and outside. Safe at third base, and Seitzer claiming that he was able to tag Randy Bush. Boy, a great play by Jamie Quirk. I mean, a great play. That curveball was low and outside, and he uncorked a dandy throw. And Billy Gardner, who used to manage Minnesota, is going to get after Dale Scott. And I mean, get after him.
Second man to let him have it. Actually, the third, Seitzer had something to say, but then Quirk came racing down the line after he made the throw. He was shouting. I thought Billy was coming out just to protect Jamie and get him back out of there. Then Billy decided to get into it himself, and he is really letting Scott have it.
And he might get kicked out for the first time in his career as a Royal manager. It looked like Scott called the play before it happened. Now Billy's going to stay in, at least for the moment, unless he gets a second burr under his saddle and goes back and says something else. But I don't blame him for arguing. Boy, what a great throw from Jamie Quirk. Watch where the pitch ends up. Look at that. Now watch this throw. I mean, perfect. And here comes Bush. Oh, man. It looked to me like he had him called safe before the play had actually unraveled. And now the Royals have to bring their infield in again. Runners at second and third. Well, that's a big call. 5-2. You're still very much a part of this game.
That's one of those, though, where Scott was going to have an argument on his hands either way. Rick Rennick, the third base coach, was all set to jump on him if he'd called it the other way.
1-2 pitches rolled to third. They got to play at the plate and out at home plate. So Quirk able to tag the runner Randy Bush. It'll be a fielder's choice. Now runners first and third, 2 out. There you see the stolen base again. Bush trying to get to the corner of the bag before Seitzer's swipe tag. And Dale Scott giving the call to Bush. Double steal. Now first and third for Larkin. 1 out of 3, an RBI single in the third inning. Good curveball, strike call. Gene Larkin, switch hitting rookie first baseman. Far ahead, 0-2. Took a little off the breaking ball, and Larkin was ahead of it. One ball, 2 strikes. 5-2 Minnesota. Bottom of the 8th. The Royals will have Quirk, Wilson, and Seitzer in the 9th. Two and 2 to Larkin. Gladden at third, Gaetti at first. Mm. 2-2 fastball, barely missed. Steve figures that was a strike. He nods yes to Balboni, who has just informed him that with 3 and 2 and 2 out, he will not be holding the runner on, so don't throw to first. And you can see far nod yes. Got him with a fastball. He got that call. So the inning is over. The Twins get a run. They leave 2 more. They have stranded in 8 innings, an even dozen. To the 9th we go, 5-2 Minnesota.
3 to tie now as we go to the 9th inning, but first things first inning, they got to get some base runners against Keith Atherton, which they haven't been able to do since he came on with 1 out in the 7th.
Jamie Quirk has 2 hits. He'll be leading off. The Royals have been huffing and puffing and blowing all night trying to get back in the game. It's been a very frustrating game offensively for both teams. A total now of 21 runners stranded. The Royals hope they have some magic left here in the 9th inning. They'll have to go get Atherton.
All right, let's go to work. Atherton's pitch on the outside corner, a fastball. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Royals Television Network.
Get in the swing of it. Royals baseball. Royals baseball.
The 0-1 pitch to Jamie. Able to hold up. Greg Gagne now is playing shortstop for the Twins, taking over for Al Newman. 1-1 the count to Jamie Quirk. Jamie doubled and scored in the 7th, singled in the 5th, struck out in the 3rd. the Terminator, Jeff Reardon, warming again in the Minnesota bullpen. He came on last night and just mowed down the Royals. Reardon last night struck out the side in his inning of work. Burke pops it foul out of play. They're underway out in California. The Indians failed to score in the first inning. Ken Schramm against Jack Mazorko. Detroit beat Milwaukee 8-5. 14 hits for the Tigers in that game. Problems continuing for Teddy Higuera, who got off to such a promising start this year, but has faltered for Milwaukee. Boston beat Baltimore 2-1 behind Bruce Hurst. Again fouled out of play.
Then you consider the Milwaukee Brewers. If Teddy Higuera was pitching as well this year as he did last year, there was no way they were going to lose 12 or 13 straight games. He would have been the stopper, as Saberhagen has been for the Royals this year. And if Higuera was pitching anywhere close to the way he did last year, where the Brewers would be right now?
That's for sure. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count here to Quirk. Keith Atherton on in relief for the Twins, with Reardon working in the bullpen behind him. Down goes Jamie. 3 strikeouts for Keith Atherton since he came on, with a man out in the 7th. Look at the movement on that pitch. Some of the players receive a Florsheim shoe wardrobe from Steve's Shoes. Steve's is Kansas City's headquarters for Florsheim. You'll find a complete selection of Florsheim at Steve's 24 locations. Now Willie Wilson, 2 hits in 4 tries tonight.
Does Atherton have good stuff? Well, he's faced 6 and retired 6 and struck out half of them.
He's returned to his high school form. In high school ball in Virginia, Keith Atherton once pitched 4 consecutive no-hitters. Atherton, formerly with the Oakland A's. He just blew the fastball by Willie. 0-2 the count. If the Twins hang on to win this one, we've got ourselves a dead heat atop the American League West.
And a good pitching matchup tomorrow night.
Andy. Charlie Leibrandt against Bert Blyleven. Atherton is throwing smoke, and the Royals aren't touching it.
Nothing fancy. Fastball up. Willie had to chase it.
Kevin Seitzer now is the Royals' last hope. Kevin 1 for 3 officially, walked and scored a run in the opening inning, singled in the 3rd. Since then has flied out and lined to second on a good play by Steve Lombardozzi.
I'll make you a bet right now. He made the final out last night. I bet you he doesn't make the final out tonight.
He went out with a fury last night, flung his bat down after striking out against Jack Reardon. Why do I say Jack Reardon? It's Jeff Reardon. Who Jack Reardon is. Right. Sorry, Mayor. That could do it. Puck it to the wall, leaps up and makes the grab, and that's the ball game.
Almost won the bet.
Seitzer does make the last out, but not before making a bid for a home run. Kirby Puckett cracked it down in deep right center field. Minnesota hangs on to win the ball game 5-2. We'll have the totals for you in just a moment. At the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where it has just taken the Twins exactly 3 hours to beat the Royals by a score of 5-2. 5 has been the Twins' magic number in this series. They won last night 5-3. For the Twins tonight, 5 runs on 12 hits, no errors. They stranded 12 base runners in the game, 10 in the first 6 innings. For the Royals, 2 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. They left 9. Danny Jackson loses. He now is a disappointing 2-8 on the year. The winning pitcher is Phil Niekro with a save from Keith Atherton, his first of the year. But Niekro was the story here in Minneapolis tonight. Just got here today on a flight from New York and wins his 4th ball game of the year. Joe Niekro beating the Royals for the first time since April of 1971 when he was wearing a Detroit Tiger uniform. Niekro outstanding tonight, goes 6 in the 3rd innings, gives up 2 runs, only 1 of them earned. He gave up 9 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 6 and left the game to a tremendous ovation from 18,563. Again, the final, 5-2 Minnesota. Now for Denny Matthews, Fred White, and our director Larry Kieran, Denny Treese inviting you to join us again tomorrow night on most of these same stations on the Royals TV network.